Let's talk about the Temporary Measures Bill, which was introduced to Parliament yesterday. Why is it necessary for the state to make such unprecedented interventions into private contracts, for example? And what's your message to the business community this morning who say that this could perhaps undermine the agreements that they already have in place, or perhaps even set a dangerous precedent here?
You're looking at the crisis of our generation, several generations. People are comparing it with the Great Depression. It's certainly going to have consequences which are far more serious than the great financial crisis. I think during that period, maybe worldwide, 25 million people lost their jobs. Here, in the last 2 weeks of March, 10 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits. ILO is now predicting that it will be many more than 25 million people who would be unemployed. More than $3 trillion worth of benefits, salaries would go from workers. You're looking at economic devastation, businesses destroyed, people's lives ruined. And in such a situation, you don't talk contract, you talk equity, you talk justice, you talk about what is the right thing to do. The state has every right in such situations, if you look at precedent, to intervene in a temporary way, to give relief, hold the fort, allow people to take stock of their situation. The measures do, for example, we allow tenants not to pay for a maximum of 6 months their rental. That does mean a transfer of liquidity from the landlord to the tenant. And the state looks at who can bear the pain more, and it's also sharing of the pain. If you insist on your minutest, every single contractual right at this point, that will suck the life out of the economy. You've got to protect everyone. So the 3 budgets that we have put in gives a huge amount of cash infusion, 12% of our GDP, into the economy. At the same time, you've got to also help people with the bleeding. And particularly the smaller guys need more help. That, I think, the state has done. I've set out the principles in Parliament. I think people understand it's temporary. The obligations are not abrogated. They are suspended for a period. People's rights continue, and then we will look at it again.
I also wanted to ask you about another government measure here, which is in many ways another intervention, on the one hand with contract intervention, but social intervention as well. The government also considering this total ban on social gatherings now, which will have an unprecedented impact on the lives of everyday Singaporeans. This is significant public overreach here, something that we haven't seen implemented in other countries. Why is this necessary? And more importantly, from your perspective, a legal perspective, what constitutes a social gathering?
I wouldn't say it is unprecedented. There are other countries which have imposed similar measures. The key is, as one of my colleagues said in CNBC, we've got to make sure that our healthcare facilities, our ICU facilities, always stay ahead of our projected number of cases. And we've got to take whatever steps that are necessary to make sure that the numbers are kept down.
So, but what is a social gathering?
A social gathering, in this context, we've indicated if more than 10 people come together, that was some time ago, then that really shouldn't happen. You stay at home. You only go out if it's essential for you to do so. If you need to buy some things, you don't go out for a purpose of socializing. It's as simple as that. If you need to go and look after your elderly parents, for example, to help them, that's understandable. But if you go out to meet people in order to have a drink or even at their homes, really, that should not be happening.